The Xbox moment might finally be here, but it's certainly not for the Duo. Happy Friday, friends! It is Friday, it is October, it is gorgeous weather, and for the first time in my life last night, I was able to see the northern lights. They made it down my way, and they were bright enough to see with the naked eye, even with the street lights on. It was quite the impressive show, and that puts me in a super good mood. So anyways, hopefully all of you had a wonderful week. There is a lot to talk about, so we are just going to dive in, because this guy is going away. It's official. The Duo 2 just received its last update. Well, this is actually the Duo 1. I've got a Duo 2 upstairs. It's not coming back. It is done. It is over. Say goodbye to your friends, unless there's like a serious, which maybe it happens, enthusiast community who takes over this stuff. But I think it really only got like one major software update. It never got out of the door. It never got it did get out of the door, but it never really got rolling in any meaningful way. Never got any market share that Microsoft wanted, and the project and experiment has come to an end. The beta test is finally over. If you understand that reference, good for you. You've been following Microsoft for a very long time. On the other side of things, Microsoft is actually announcing passkey improvements in Windows 11. Now, this is all concept if you're looking at the display here. But Microsoft is going to be bringing more native integrations to tools like 1Password and third-party tools into Windows, which is actually really good because I'm a big 1Password user, and I know there's a lot of other tools out there, but I personally use 1Password, not an endorsement. They're not paying for that, but I do pay for it. I guess really at the end of the day, doesn't matter. Anyways, Microsoft is introducing a plugin model for third-party passkey providers with enhanced native user experience for passkeys and a Microsoft Sync passkey provider, all of which will be available in the Windows Insider channel in the coming months. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit. But things that aren't going to be a little bit here, there was a big update for OneDrive. So OneDrive now has colorful folders, and that's not really the big update. But hey, if that's your thing, and you're my daughter, and she loves colorful folders, so this is her thing, but it's not for me. But improved OneDrive search. There's going to be third generation OneDrive in File Explorer, so it's just more enhancements of that native integration there. New OneDrive mobile app, and there's also new storage tiers. You can get up to 10 terabytes of storage options beyond the current, I believe it's 2 terabyte that is actually today that you are limited to. Windows Insider also turned 10 years old, and so they've released some. Actually, these are relatively cool wallpapers. If you like what's on the screen here, there's also a light mode of this. I thought the dark mode looked better, so I grabbed the dark mode, and yeah. So this is it's a wallpaper, but you know what? This is kind of cool. I like this. This is cool. So this is a Windows Insider 10th anniversary wallpaper. It's kind of hard to believe that has been around for 10 years. And if you had issues with Outlook this week, specifically the Outlook web app, you are not alone. I was definitely impacted by this. If you just open it up and it crashed or turned white, or you couldn't do anything and you couldn't check your emails or write emails or do whatever else, you were not alone. That has been recovered now. But yeah, it was few hours, I would say. It was a few hours. And yeah, so there you go. Other things happening, I guess this is more, give it a caveat of this is my career, but we launched Multiplicity 4 this week. There'll be a link down in the description. Super cool app. Allows you to use one keyboard and mouse for our devices, but the real hallmark feature is actually if you have an extra laptop, you can now use it as a secondary display. So you have your desktop, place a laptop next to it, you can make that a native display with just about 2 clicks, and it's pretty darn cool. But let's jump on over to the gaming news, because the gaming news is there's a lot going on this week. So starting late, or I should say at the very, very beginning of the week, 343 announced that, hey, we are officially making it official, which is a weird way to say this, that they are moving over to Unreal Engine. If you're on the video side, this is called the Foundry. It's not quite a tech demo. It's a little bit more than that, but it's not a game either. It feels more like a vertical slice of a game, right? Like you've got like the different scenes and everything else. But this is all in Unreal, and the next Halo games will be moving to Unreal. This is a very smart decision for what is now known as Halo Studios. 343 is officially dead, like the Duo. And so, yeah, Halo Studios is the new name, Unreal is the new jam, and they are working on multiple games, as noted by their blog post. We don't know what the games are or when they're coming, and they're going to slowly drip feed that stuff, but Unreal is the future of the Halo franchise. It remains to be seen. They're probably very careful not to show any Spartan movements or anything else like that, any character movements, because, hey, we all know what Halo looks and feels like, and a lot of us are paying close attention to, can they recreate that in the Unreal Engine? And so we will see. But Slipspace is dead. Duo is dead. 343 Studios also dead. Unreal Engine is the future, and it looks, I mean, we all know what Unreal Engine can do, so it seems pretty cool. It seems pretty darn cool. And things that are cool probably to the touch, you can win a gold Xbox Series X. Now, you have to complete a puzzle and things, but it's just, if ever said, I really need a gold, and it's not probably real gold. This is definitely a gold colored Xbox Series X. If from November 12th to January 6th, a special puzzle will be available inside Microsoft Experience Centers in London, Sydney, and New York City, and you can try to win yourselves a gold Xbox Series X. So, speaking of gold Xbox Series X's, let's talk about a white Xbox Series X, which has, it's not a leak. Leak would be the incorrect way to describe this. But apparently a Walmart put out their all-digital version of the Xbox Series X on store shelves a little bit early. And I've heard from several people at this point that this was definitely a snafu by Walmart. They should not have put... Oop, that just smacked my mic. They should not have put this out. It has a hard street date. And so somebody goofed, and then somebody bought it. And so, like, there you go. There's your first non-PR shot, I guess, of the white all-digital Xbox Series X from a customer who picked one up at Walmart. So they are in the back of many stores now, so the likelihood of it, more stores accidentally selling it, probably pretty good. So keep your eyes and ears open if you're in the market for something like that. But I think the biggest thing that is happening this week is something that Sarabon started tweeting about late on Thursday evening. So earlier this week, there was a massive court ruling that says Google cannot do what it's doing on Android effectively. That is the very short version of it. It's not completely that. But they're like, look, you have to be able to sell Google apps in other stores. Google, you can't stop people from buying stuff in stores and blah, blah, blah. Third-party stores are a thing, and they cannot be stopped. And so Xbox/Sarabon put out this statement. It says, the court's ruling to open up Google's mobile store in the US will allow more choice and flexibility. Our mission is to allow mobile players to play on more devices, so we are thrilled to share that starting in November, players will be able to purchase Xbox games directly from the Xbox app on Android. Now, that is one small step for Xbox, one giant leap for building a mobile store kind. You have to remember that during the ABK stuff, a lot of the messaging from Microsoft was, we need these assets to be able to build a mobile store so that we can compete with iOS and Android. And it was a pretty compelling argument. I mean, it was compelling enough that Microsoft was able to get the deal done through all the various bodies, because many of these entities recognize that Android and Apple, or I should say Google and Apple, were effectively gatekeeping, and to build a competing store against these two was a monumental hurdle. And the best way to do that was say, hey, Microsoft, maybe you can take a shot, because again, you don't have a mobile platform, and so you could try to build a gaming store, and if you have all this IP, at least you stand a chance at doing so and providing alternative options and keeping pricing where it should be. And so this is one of the moments that Xbox has been waiting for. They've been buying up all this IP. Now, I'm not saying they're selling their games directly on the phone and then you're playing on the phone. You got to take that step back. You'll be able to buy a game on your phone and have it play on your console. You can imagine that eventually Microsoft is going to expand that, and they're going to go bigger with this. And this is the day one step that Microsoft has to take to start building a true Xbox mobile app store. And it is finally here. They've been waiting literal years for this moment to happen. Now, the question becomes, what about on Apple? Right now, it's still not there. Given that this happened to Google, it does not seem unprecedented that this will eventually happen to Apple as well, and Xbox is prepared to start doing that. They're launching something in November, and if anybody here knows how Xbox and Microsoft work, they don't move fast. So they have been set up for this for a while. And so now the time is ripe. Now they've given the green light, and this is going to be a shift in the Xbox strategy, and we will see. They just announced, by the way, remember, that they are combining their Game Pass and their Xbox app. Makes me kind of wonder if some of that was related to the like them not being able to think that they might get blocked. Like, what are the apps might get blocked? Like, okay, if the Game Pass app gets blocked, we don't want it to take down the core Xbox app. And that's why they were separate. Now that fear is gone, they combine them. Bada bing, bada boom. They can now sell games directly in there. It's only a matter of time before the full, true, fledged out Xbox mobile game store arrives. And so this is a big moment for Xbox. And it's a big moment for everything they've spent all this money on. So times are getting interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Xbox does this and how Xbox executes this, because they better do it well, because let's be real, they've had a lot of time and a lot of money to prep for this. And if it doesn't go as expected, that is a huge egg on their face. So on to the questions of the week. We got a handful into the hopper. Kicking it off here is Matt Bear. He says, "Hey Brad, next Halo game coming to PlayStation? Yes, no, my money is no." I don't know. I don't know. Candidly, I think moving to Unreal increases the optics and opportunity to bring it over to PlayStation, because they don't have to. Unreal already works on PlayStation. It's already set up for that. So I think actually the odds are increasing by them moving to Unreal that it might actually happen. I don't know if like the hero games will be there, but I could definitely see them bringing some like back catalog over to the PlayStation side at some point. Next question comes from Shandi. Shandi says, "Hey Brad, I saw on Twitter." Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. So he said, "I saw on Twitter that you got your hands on a new ARM Surface laptop. What are your opinions?" So when I was in the office in the past few days, I've been using the new Surface ARM laptop, the Qualcomm Elite, whatever, their higher end one, because Multiplicity 4, which we just released, will support ARM. It's not fully supported on the first beta release, but by the time we ship 1.0, it'll be a full native experience, and it'll be available. So I was using this device as our test product or our test bed for all of it. It's fine. Like it was good. I didn't have enough time to really hound the battery life, although I will tell you that it was outlasting my Surface Laptop Studio, which is a few years older, runs on x86. And is a little bit more bulky and has a GPU. I would not have expected it to outlast that, but the battery life was lasting longer. And I know that because I only had one power cord for both devices, so I was moving it back and forth. And it was snappy. The keyboard felt great. I liked the offsetting color of the trackpad and everything else. And so I think they're fine. Like, I think they're genuinely fine as long as you're not gaming. I think gaming continues to be the underlying theme of stuff that's just not. Do not buy an ARM device for gaming. Buy it or you run Multiplicity, because it will eventually work or something like that. So it's a super cool product. I'm happy to see that it's doing as well as it is. So Josh D says, "Hey Brett, Windows 11 24H2, good, bad, or indifferent?" There's been some various reports of certain things not working. I know that if you have certain wallpaper apps, none of which are made by Stardock, are blocking things. And so people are having some issues upgrading if you're into the modding scene for sure on Windows. There was one post on Reddit's MSP where they had a client whose devices just were not working well and they rolled back. But for overall, it seems like 24H2 has been mostly fine. I say that as Outlook, although Outlook issue wasn't necessarily related to 24H2. Mostly fine. Again, Microsoft isn't like, they don't do like Apple where they press the button and it rolls out to a billion plus people. It's very slow. It's very slow and calculated. So there you go. And Mr. PKI with a triple dose of questions in for the week. Let's see what he's got. He says, "I heard there was a new Xbox wireless headset coming out. Any insider scoop on that one?" I have heard this as well, that Microsoft is preparing. I believe this is going to be a Christmas holiday thing, if that makes sense, right? So I believe there is a new one coming. He says, "I noticed you are not promoting the questions anymore. Is that because you're recording the Sam's Report late on Thursday, or do you not want to stay up late?" So typically I will tweet this stuff out, but when I travel, it is pretty low on the things to remember list. And so I just post this up on Thurrott.com. I think I did tweet this out eventually late at night, but I like to tweet it around like 1 o'clock or something like that is typically when I try to do it. But when I'm traveling, the Traveler Man is, yeah. And then Mr. PKI, last question of the week, says, "What do you think of all the Halo announcement games and news?" I think it is good for the franchise. It needs Halo needs a spiritual reboot. That is, I think many people hopefully agree with that, right? The last the last few years have not been great. And so new leadership, a literal new name, a new engine, at least there's opportunity for new and exciting, and they're not bogged down by Slipspace. And so I think Slipspace trying to keep that alive was the undoing of Halo at the end of the day, because not only were they trying to build a cool new game, they had to update their engine and they had to maintain the engine. And so it gets really complex and a lot of overhead and a lot of timing, and it makes things just way more complex. And so I think Microsoft also realized that, hey, we're never going to be able to license Slipspace. Like, that is not something a company's going to come to us and say, hey, can we use your engine? It's really good. Like, that's not a thing for the most part. Unreal has kind of sucked up all the air in the room when it comes to that sort of stuff. And so there are definitely proprietary engines out there that exist. Even Stardock has them. However, most people don't license engines these days unless you're like the big player in the industry. And so I think they realized, like, look, Slipspace is only going to hold us back. It's not going to make us more money. And so they went on. They're going down a different path at the end of the day. And I just kind of wish we got to see more, or they were announcing a game, because at this point, I'm really excited to see what Halo on Unreal looks and feels like, and what the opportunity. Can you imagine, like, some of those classic, like, Blood Gulch being remade in Unreal with super high fidelity? It raises a few eyebrows, and mine are, they could. This is such a cheesy thing to do. They could go remaster some of their old games we can't really remaster them, I guess, if you're switching engines. Remake them in Unreal, and I'd be curious to see how well those would do. But, yeah. There you go, guys. A kind of a crazy week on Xbox making strategic shifts or getting things to market, Windows 11 stuff doing whatever, and Outlook going down, and Duo saying goodbye. But anyways, I hope all of you had a wonderful week. As always, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because on the BS on this podcast is me.